just had Starmageddon last week. Labour got 411 seats, which is a plus 214, 34% of the vote, however. Tories got 121. They were down 252 and 24% of the vote. As I predicted, Lib Dems, I got it bang on, got 72 seats, and they were only 12% of the votes. But bizarrely, Reform, who did incredibly well, they got 14% of the votes. That's more than Lib Dems, but only ended up with 5% of the votes. Let me just get your take on that, George. What do you think? Is that fair for democracy?
No, it isn't. It's absolutely disastrous for democracy, because it clearly doesn't reflect the desires of the people. And I don't know whether we're going to talk about France as well, but the French election also reflects a complete negation of what the people wanted. But here in Britain, I mean, Labour received fewer votes than it received in 2019, which was supposedly such a disastrous outcome that it led to the resignation of Jeremy Corbyn. Keir Starmer himself, supposedly the man who delivered this landslide for Labour, his majority in his own constituency went down from 28,000 in 2019 to just 7,000. So that's just a reflection of, how unpopular he himself is. And therefore, there's absolutely no correlation between the percentage of the vote, and the number of votes that you received, and your number of representatives. So it's just so bizarre that the media are spinning the story of this huge historic landslide for Labour, when it's clear that Labour actually did very poorly. And incidentally, it also significantly underperformed according to what the opinion poll said, which is itself is an interesting story. Remember, the polls were suggesting Labour, a share of the vote would be around 44%. In fact, it was, as you said, 34%. And that its margin over the Tories would be 20 points. In fact, it was only 10 points. So the polls were spectacularly off. And again, because the pollsters and the media were very much in the tank with Labour and wanted to push Labour over the finishing line.
It is extraordinary, isn't it? Martin, what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's an outdated, draconian voting system, isn't it? I mean, I think I read somewhere that there's only one other country in the world, Belarus, which has the same system of first past the post. It doesn't give any possibility, or at least it restricts quite dramatically the possibility of smaller players coming in. And as Nigel Farage quite correctly said, if there'd been a proportional representation system in Britain, he would have got something like about 95 to 100 seats. So it's not at all fair. Like so many things in Britain, nobody wants to overhaul it. People tend to stay with what they know. But I think George is absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people didn't vote. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Australia, you're legally bound to vote. If not, I think so. And in Belgium as well, if you don't vote, you're fined. I think if we had that system in Britain, who knows what would have happened in the election? It might have been a different turnout, because as George says rightly, there was a very low turnout in general. I think the Labour only got 34% of the vote anyway, which is less than Corbyn in 2017. So the system needs to be, I think, respun, looked at, and rejigged. I doubt if they'll do it, though.
No, you're absolutely right. I can tell you, it's the lowest turnout for more than 20 years. Only 59.9% of the population voted. A sharp decrease. If I remember right, it was about 67.3% that voted in the 2019 election. And it's the worst turnout in a general election since 2001, when only 59.4% voted, which was the lowest figure since World War II. I think you're right. There's a number of places around the world which say that you must vote. And also, I think this an antiquarian system where you sort of go along with your pencil, you put a little cross in a box. There's got to be a better way, doesn't there? In this digital age, we could get an instant result.
Critically analyzing global affairs, the Muckrakers on today's News Talk, TNT.